political side of things, just help people understand why uranium is classified as a clean fuel.
Yeah, no, look, nuclear has always been an emotional issue for people, and I think they associate it with, bombs. And, even if you look at the black swan events that have occurred, at Fukushima, for example, to this day, there has been no deaths from the nuclear reactor, issues that they had. There were deaths from the tsunami. There were deaths from people being evacuated, but there were no deaths from the reactor. And I think all projections that I have seen and heard, that there may be no deaths, or if there are, it will be a very limited number. Now, certainly, you don't want to, you want to learn from these kind of issues like Fukushima. And I think we have. I think the whole world has learned that you should have these reactors shouldn't be built so close to sea level. And like in the case of Fukushima, the generators should have been higher above to it and get swamped by the tsunami. So nuclear has a fantastic track record for safety. And people will dispute that, but that is the facts. You look at some of the different organizations that have done post evaluations of Chernobyl. And Chernobyl was the biggest issue in the nuclear industry, with reactor designs that are no longer allowed to operate in the world. But you've got to learn from some of the past mistakes. And nuclear power, does not emit carbon emissions. It's proven as a clean baseload energy.
Can I just ask you about one of the other investment themes that you talk about, which is the alternative feed materials, the land cleanup, and also copper recovery? Now, I imagine these aren't substantial, contributors to the bottom line, but nevertheless, the themes that you want to talk about. So what are you doing with those?
Yeah, look, let's start off with alternate feed. Historically, and we've been doing this, or the asset's been doing this for like 25 years. Generally, it is between $5 to $15 million a year of revenue. So it's not huge, but it's nice plasma, and particularly in the down market. To give you an example, last year we recycled the equivalent of one fuel load for a nuclear reactor. We recycled, and we have the facilities and the permits to do that. A year before last, it was 2 nuclear reactor fuel loads worth of material. So it's a great service we provide out there that nobody else does. We're looking to expand that, so this 5 to 15 could be greater than that in time. But that's really, and I'll talk about. So we've got this recycling business, taking low-level products and creating clean nuclear fuel that we've been doing. But we're also looking at expanding that. When we call the land cleanup, there are a number of former uranium mines that need to be reclaimed. A number of them are on the Navajo Nation. They were mined during the Cold War in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And the EPA has collected about $1.7 billion in trust to clean up those mines. The White Mesa Mill is located maybe 20 miles from the Navajo Nation border, and we have all the permits required to assist in that cleanup. So, even if hypothetically we got 10% of that 1.7 billion or 5% or whatever, you're talking a lot of money. Yeah. And if you complement that $5 to $15 million in alternate feed, you look at a nice secondary or third tier business for us, and doing a good service to the environment, to the Navajo Nation, and through that recycle, we're actually able to recover uranium from those low-level, low-grade ores that were mined from those deposits. So I'm really proud of that part of the business. I think it really shows the company's committed to kind of the cradle to grave principles, and we're the only ones that can do that that I know of in the world, but certainly in the United States.
That's impressive. I mean, it also helps with the clean credentials.
It does help with the clean credentials, and I like to emphasize that that, during the Cold War, the U.S. government would buy uranium from anyone who would sell them the uranium. So, a lot of these mines are remnants of that period. And that was a time when there were no permits required. They weren't required to reclaim. And literally the miners just went out and started digging.
I'd be interested in hearing more about that story as it develops, because that's potentially a very large business in its own right.